Hello guys. So today I've got myself set up. Today is December 1st, which means it's time to start our Advent. So my idea for the Advent this year is that I wanted to get back into doing traditional art. And so I haven't done watercolor painting in quite a while. And so I've created this cute little journal that it's kind of like a junk journal, right? But it's a little more holiday themed, and inside is nice watercolor paper. This is Strathmore watercolor paper. It is a little stiffer than, some of the other cheaper papers, so I will have to kind of hold it as I work, but I am excited to use a good quality watercolor paper. I have this cute little mini palette here with some colors that I use a lot. And I made this and have never used it before. So it is a magnetic little takeaway one that you can actually clip to the top of a notebook if you are taking it on the go. I will link it down below. It's from Amazon, of course. So I will link that, my affiliate link down below for that if you're interested. And then there's our Advent that we did earlier. So I had shuffled the little slips. You can kind of see them through the cracks. I shuffled the little slips with the words that you guys gave me. And also I got a few from my family as well. And so I don't know what I'm going to get today, but we're starting off with day one. So let's go ahead and open up the little box. And I found that it's actually, even with this, it's hard sometimes to get my finger in. So I may need a crochet hook, but it looks like, oh, it's coming. So here it is. All right, you guys, there's the little slip. Let's open it up and see what our word of the day is. And we have 30 minutes to draw and paint a sunflower. Yay, I'm excited. This is going to be fun. So I'm going to just get myself situated here, and then we'll start the timer, and I will be painting and drawing with you, okay? So if you want to do this with me, awesome. That would be very cool to do this together, and I can love to see your guys' art as well. But I will be getting going here. So let's dive on in, you guys. Day one, sunflower, yes. One thing I would recommend to you guys is, if you do decide you want to do this with me, is to create a little color sheet like this, so that you know what your colors are, because it's not always apparent just by looking at the color what it's going to look like on the watercolor paper. So that's something I would just do as a little recommendation here. But I am going to start my timer and get drawing. Set timer for 30 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead, and since the word is sunflower, I'm going to just do a quick little drawing of my little happy sunflower that I have my pattern for. It's always making me really happy when I see it, and it's been one of the most popular things that I've made on the Frizzy Bee channel. So I think it will be a perfect little first drawing for our Advent here. And it doesn't take me too long to draw, which is also a good thing, because yeah, we have our little timer set, so no pressure, right? Gotta make sure I get this thing done in a short amount of time. Okay, just gonna do his little eyes here. Little smile. Okay, and then we'll do, let's see, we've got his little stem and his little leaves. And there's one in the back as well, which you won't be able to see all the way. And then he's going to be sitting in his little pot. You'll just get part of the pot because it'll go off the page. Something nice and simple. Okay. Nice and easy. get us going here. Day one. All right, there's our little happy sunflowers. Now I'm gonna get painting because I don't have much time. We've got a timer on my watch here, so I'm gonna get going. So I've created my little sheet here that tells me what my colors are. So I'm just going to start mixing up some colors. So let's just get a little water in. I like that cadmium yellow, but I do want to dilute it a little bit. You want to start off light when you do watercolors because you can always go darker, but you can't get lighter, right? So I'm just basically going to create a little bit of a light wash here. Let's see. And wherever your water goes, the color will follow, so, which is a good thing and a bad thing, right? Sometimes you don't want it to go in certain places, but if you throw a little water there, or if the water is still wet, or rather the paint is still wet, it will go where that water is, right? So I'm just gonna create a little bit of a base coat here, and then we can go in later with the details. Using a round-headed brush here as well. I was going to do this live, but at the same time I thought that it might be a little bit difficult to be able to focus on getting this done in such a short period of time if I was also trying to keep up with chat. So I decided I'd go ahead and film this and just chat with you while I'm painting, telling you kind of what I'm doing as I'm doing it. But right now we're just kind of doing a little flat wash here in these certain areas just to give it that base coat, right? And I will go in later and add some details. I'm just taking off any excess water that I don't want so it doesn't get any blooming. Okay, now remember it is still wet, so if I start trying to touch, say, the face right here with a different color, it's going to start bleeding into those other areas. So while that's drying, I'm going to go down over here to the pot, and that'll just give me a little bit of time for the petals to dry. So for the pot, I'm going to use maybe a mixture actually. I like this burnt sienna. I usually, took the whole little thingamajigger with it. There we go. You gotta like glue these in here somehow, but anyway, there it goes. So I'm gonna take some of the burnt sienna because that is very similar to a terracotta pot. And I'm also gonna take a little bit of the burnt umber and just kind of mix it in there. Got my tester page here to see if I like the color. Do a little bit more of the darken. Okay. And then I'm just gonna do that base just like we did before. Another tool you can have handy is I have my heat gun here. So if you want to have things dry quicker because you're on a crunch like I am, then you can just use your your little, not hot glue gun, but your heat gun, right? Just to kind of dry it a little bit quicker. So I'm doing that same thing again where I take some of the water out of my brush and I'm just taking off a little bit of that excess paint because we're just doing a flat coat right now. We'll go in later and do some shading. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. Okay, so I'm just going to use this for just a second, so I will mute it while we're doing that because I don't want it to get too loud on you guys. All right, so I'm actually going to do a little bit. I think that color actually works really well for the sunflower's face as well. So I'm going to do my little base here. Hopefully I dried it enough, but we'll find out because what happens is it'll start trying to pull it into the other color if it's not dry. So that's our goal, was to get it a little bit more dry there so that we can have them set apart. So far so good. It looks like the yellow is pretty well dry. It's okay if it goes in a little bit, you know, I mean, that's nature, right? Nothing's perfect. So I'm not too bothered by it. I just didn't want it to do some big blooming in there so that the leaves looked brown instead of yellow. They should be nice and vibrant, right? I'm just getting some extra color in. It's nice to get some texture in here because this is actually the middle part, right, of the flower. Just going around, getting him some little bits of texture there, okay? And since I have this paint on my brush, I'm just gonna go in and do a little bit of a darker area underneath here for some shading. We'll do more later, but just give this a little bit more depth to it. Okay, maybe the same under the leaf. Softening the line so that we don't have that harsh line right there. Okay. If you have a dry brush with just a little bit of wet to it, you can tell the color where you want it to go. Right? Okay. So now I'm going to start getting the green mixed up. And green, I love sap green. It's this one right up here. It's like one of my favorite colors to use. It's really pretty. Very, very pretty color. See? Start off with a little bit more water on there. There we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna get started on my green area here, and again we can go in a little bit and we will make some shading areas so that it looks a little bit more defined and has some shadows and whatnot. And sometimes when you're doing this, if you're thinking about where light is coming in, you might want to leave some areas white, because you can do one of two things. You can either leave it white, or you can use a masking fluid, which will basically act as a little bit of a band-aid, if you will, to keep an area from getting the paint on there, and then you can remove that later. So once the colors have dried, you'd remove it, and then whatever area you put it on, it'll be white again. So that's another option for you. The dry brush, you can also pick up a little bit of the color as well. Right, and I did not get that part because that's actually soil, so I don't want to do that yet. Now that this is needing to dry, let's go ahead and use the dryer. Okay. Okay, now we've got one more color that we need here, and that is the soil. So for the soil, I'm gonna do the burnt umber. I like that color. It's very pretty. Just get some extra water in because we're wanting to start off with the soft colors before we go too dark. So if you leave a lot of color in there, a lot of pigment and water, what happens is that when it dries, you will get that harsher outside edge, which is its own style, right? I did that up for the face because I want the face to have a nice edge. But for other areas, you might not want that. So just to keep that in mind, right? Okay, so now everybody's got a little bit of a base coat. So we're gonna go back over and start adding some shading in. All right, so our cadmium yellow is what we used for the sunflower's petals. I'm gonna add just a little bit of raw sienna. Just to make it a little bit darker. Maybe a little bit of yellow ochre in there. Okay. Now that I have that, I can use that to start making some color here. And again, you start with the lightest because you can't go lighter once you go dark, right? So I'm going to keeping that in mind. I am going to leave some areas without adding this color because I want it to look like light is hitting it. So you may not want it to be completely white, right? But you can keep some of the color from getting too dark also. So just another thing to think about as you're painting. Picturing that the light is coming from this direction. So I'm trying to keep consistent as I go around the sunflower. That over here, it's not going to get as much light as it will on the top. And while that's drying, I'm going to come back down here to the pot, and I'm actually going to mix a little bit of the soil color in with our pot color. Okay, now for the leaves, we're going to go back over them again. Deciding where we want those light areas and then the dark areas. If you feel them and it feels cool, you'll know that it's not dry yet fully. If it's not, then you're good to go. Okay. Just giving some texture here to the soil. Okay, and then I'm going to also use that as a way to shade a little bit on the face. Okay, let's add a little bit more color. Texture in the face here. There we go. Okay, let me just try a little bit here. Let's actually go in and do some darker shadows, okay? adding that to the face a little bit because it's a really nice color. Sort of gives it a little bit more vibrant tone to it. And let's see, I almost dipped it in my coffee. Whoops, that wouldn't be good. Let's see, let's do sepia here. One thing you can do too if you don't like something is you can actually take your dry paper towel. You can even wet an area with just plain water that's clean, like this. See, I didn't like that harsh line right there. So you can wet it and then remove the color. You pick it up that way, and that also can be used as a technique to get a little bit more of the light areas in. So if that's something that you're wanting to get back in that you've maybe already painted like that, you can do so. So same over here. I want to actually lighten that area because I want it to feel like there's sunlight hitting it. So I'm just lightening it a little bit, okay? You can do that as much as you need to or as little as you need to, and just tear off a clean piece of your paper towel. Make sure your brush is clean, okay? And then you just start to kind of work in the areas that you weren't happy with. Maybe you got some thicker lines than you wanted, like I did, and then you can just pick them back up a little bit. Gently working into these extra painted areas that I didn't like. And I'm just gonna start grabbing some of that back out again. So I like to use the Faber-Castell. I'm just gonna go in, checking, make sure we're dry. And I'm just gonna outline. Called stippling. Since the sunflower has usually some little texture to it, you can use stippling as a way to do some shading, or you can use it as a way to give your drawing some texture. Also use a little bit of a marker here. This is a Copic marker, and it's a gray tone, so this can help you add some shadows and shading to areas. It's just a very light gray, and you can use that to give yourself some more shadowing if that's a look you're going for. So I'm just using that sparingly, but in certain areas where I wished there was a little bit more shadow, then I can use my little Copic marker and go in and do that myself. Okay, there we go. There's our little sunflower. Cute. So I think what I'm gonna do is, let's put the word, I'll do my signature here. There we go. Signed, sealed, and delivered. And on this side, I'm going to write the word that we had for today, which was sunflower. There we go. So final thoughts, you guys, on day one of this Advent is that I need to be faster. So I need to get faster. It's very difficult to do a drawing and painting all in 30 minutes. So it did go a little bit over, not gonna lie, but not by much. Not by much. So this was only day one. So I think as I get back into the swing of things with the watercolors, I will have an easier time of knowing how much pigment to put into the water and all of that jazz. But I think for day one, our little drawing came out so cute and I'm very happy with it. So I hope you have enjoyed this video, this first of 24 days of Craftmas. We are painting the days away here, and this was just day one. So I look forward to painting again tomorrow, and we'll see what the next day brings. What's our word for tomorrow? I don't know. We'll find out tomorrow. I'll see you then. Bye, guys.